Hello, and welcome to my MC Championship 14 team analysis video. In this video, I will be attempting to rank all 10 teams for the upcoming MCC on 29th of May 2021 at 8 PM BST. And I say attempt because damn, the teams are so well balanced and it's never been harder to rank them from worst to best. With that being said, I have decided to use some statistics to support my reasoning as to where I placed each team. Obviously, the event organizer has made it so that, in theory, any team could win, so again, it was really hard to rank. Please don't go shouting at me in the comments telling me that I'm sleeping on this team, or I'm overestimating this team, because that is just opinion. Please respect my choices, and if you have anything meaningful to say, feel free to do so in the comments. I'd love to see some of your own rankings. Once again, this is all my opinion. I'm just going to use a bit of data I collected myself and my own best judgment. Without further ado, let's dive into the prediction. First, let me show you the data that I used. It should be on screen right now. The first dataset shows the total of the average lifetime points for each of the 4 players in a team, and a rank in descending order. Whereas this dataset shows the total of the points from the previous event that each of the 4 players in a team earned, and again, ranked. This data has been collected by other people. I decided to do it myself, and it will be in the description in a more wordy format, along with some other notes and conclusions about each team that I made, in case you want to refer to it later. The second dataset might be slightly inaccurate because it takes the number of coins a player X earns from the last event they played in, which could be over a year ago now in the case of Vicstar, or more recently in the case of others. Furthermore, both datasets assume that each of the 3 new players in this event will earn 2,000 coins, and that is just meant to be an average to allow all the teams to be compared. Also take into account the fact that many people may be rusty. Of course, Minecraft as a video game doesn't suddenly stop when MCC does, but the practice server and other methods of training can't fully simulate the pressure and suspense of the actual MCC. So who knows, maybe this data is a terrible idea, maybe it's outdated, but it should give you an idea of how I chose to rank these teams. Also, did anyone else notice the stark contrast in the placement of the pink team in both datasets? Anyhow, on to the ranking. So in last place we have the orange Ocelots, consisting of Quig, Shubble, KaraCorvus, and the Eret. So when I first saw this team, I thought it was super cracked. That was probably just because I was really excited when the teams were being announced, and orange was only the second team to be announced. But on closer inspection, you'll notice that this team isn't particularly strong. Quig is an insane player, yes, and he has finished first individually more times than anyone else. However, I simply cannot award the same level of praise to the other 3 players in the team. Fair enough, Shubble, Kara, and Eret aren't god-awful, but they are certainly below average. What makes this team even more wild is the fact that Shubble can sometimes do really well or not so well, and to an extent you can say the same for Kara and Eret as well. This team certainly won't be hugely behind other teams. The event organizer has stated that the teams have never been more balanced, and Orange could do well in the team-based games. I'm sure they will have excellent team communication, yet I don't think it will be enough for them to escape the dreaded last place. And look, in the end, someone has to come last. This is the only team that I don't see winning. At number 9 we have the Cyan Creepers. This team consists of Captain Puffy, TapL, BadBoyHalo, and Skeppy. On my initial ranking I placed this team at a solid 7th place, however this team is playing a wild card that is most likely going to backfire. It's a shame to place TapL's team so low, it almost feels quite brutal considering he is a really good player, usually top 10. Captain Puffy is just an average player, usually finishing around the middle individually. In fact, TapL and Puffy already teamed together in MCC 8 on Cyan Creepers. The real question is whether or not the other 2 players will try. Both BBH and Skeppy did well in Minecraft Monday, and this is something a lot of people in the Reddit page have pointed out. But bear in mind that MCM was a 1.8 tournament, therefore a different combat version. For what I've seen from the Muffin friends, they are both decent at the video game, but it's a different scenario for if they have to work under pressure, and that is what MCC is all about. Again, this was a really hard choice to make, but I'm just erring on the side of caution with 2 new players on this team. At number 8 we have the Pink Parrots. This team consists of Fundy, Philza, Wilberson, and Jack Manifold. As I have said, and will continue to say, this was such a tough choice. In the end I had to refer to my data from earlier, and I briefly mentioned at the start about the stark contrast between Pink's first place in dataset 1 and their 10th place in dataset 2. Obviously, to allow for comparison I had to add some coins for new player Jack Manifold. This team is also reminiscent of the MCC 13 Cyan Candy Canes, but instead of new player Jack, the team had Quackity. Overall they finished 6th as a team, and it was definitely the kind of team that would strive for content and laughs, rather than play competitively. Fundy is an underrated player when it comes to MCC performance. He can do surprisingly well, usually but not always top 10. Philza is also a great player, and again usually top 10. Wilbur is a mediocre player with not much potential, and of course I can't say much about Jack. He seems to be competent at Minecraft, but we'll just have to wait and see how he does in the actual MCC. Team chemistry is not a problem here, as all 4 players are members of the Dream SMP. On the whole, a decent team. So at number 7 we have the Red Rappers. This team consists of TommyInnit, Tubbo, Nihachu, and Vigstar123. I had mixed feelings about this team when it was first announced. It is definitely another wildcard. Tommy and Tubbo work as a dynamic duo, however in the 3 times they teamed together in Season 1, they chose to play more laid back and strived for content and memes. However, their motivation to train and perform well will be determined by how much they really owe Vigstar, a returning player who last played in MCC 5, now over a year ago. This may make him a little rusty, however in the MCCs he did play in, he did extremely well, consistently top 10, and he's broken many records for MCC. What worries me about this team is Nihachu, who is statistically one of the weakest MCC players of all time. She will most likely remain in the bottom 10 individually again, so this team has a mixed bag and they could do really well at the PvP games. At number 6 we have the Purple Pandas, Pizza Hut, Grian, Ollie, the Orient Sound, and Martin in the Littlewood. This is another team which just feels off. Pizza Hut is statistically the best performing MCC player of all time. Always finishes top 10 individually, regardless of his team. He teamed with Grian in MCC 13 on Purple Penguins, and that team actually made it to Dodgebolt, only to lose. Grian himself is an improving player capable of pulling off some incredible plays. The off bit comes from the other 2 players, Ollie and Martin. Ollie last played in MCC 13, but before that he played in MCC 6, so he had a huge gap, yet his performance remained level, and he kept his position in the bottom 10 individually. Martin is another interesting player. Sometimes he does absolutely insane, like finishing top 10 in MCC 6, and other times he just plays for fun and chills, placing him in the bottom 10 sometimes. With this team I can only assume that he would do just okay, finishing in the middle individually. This team can excel at the miscellaneous games, though it feels like they will do well in the first few games and then at the very end will trip up and fall a few places. Solid team though, and one to watch out for. We're coming up to the midway point, and this is the part of the video where I'd appreciate if you could just check that you're subscribed. Only a small percentage of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. It would mean so much to me if you could just check. Remember that subscribing is free and you can always change your mind later. At number 5 we have the Llamas. This team consists of Fruitberries, FalsySymmetry, Rendog, and Cubfan135. I swear this team is the same as the ones they had in MCCs 9 and 11, just swapping out a couple of players here and there. Indeed, everyone on this team except Fruitberries is on the Hermitcraft SMP, so team chemistry here is not a problem. Fruitberries is cracked, he's one of the best MCC players ever, and I don't see his performance dropping anytime soon. What worries me about this team is the fact that Rendog and Cubfan both consistently finish in the bottom 10 individually, and no matter how godly Fruit performs, it simply won't be enough to make up for this. Also, Falsy's performance varies based on her team, but she seems to do well when she is paired with Fruitberries. I just think this team will do okay and finish around the middle as a team. At number 4 we have the Yellow Yaks. This team consists of Sylvee, DanTDM, SB737, and Krtzyy. Too many. Way too many people are sleeping on this team from what I've seen on the Reddit page. Krtzyy popped off in MCC 13 and he consistently finishes top 10 individually. He teamed with Dan and helped him to improve. Dan by himself is decent, he is getting better with every event, and is another player who finishes around the middle individually. SB is also cracked. In the few MCCs he's played in, he's improved so much, from 25th individually to 14th individually, and I have an inkling he could break into the top 10 individually this time round. The main downfall to this team is Sylvee, who isn't the best player, but she certainly isn't terrible either. I feel like this is a team that will do poorly at the start, but in one of the later games they could pop off and finish ranking higher. Don't sleep on this OP team. So at number 3 we have the Aqua Axolotls. This team consists of HBomb94, S-Major 1995 aka Event Organizer, Solidarity Gaming, and Wisp. This team is super OP. That's the general impression I'm getting from looking at the MCC Reddit page. HBomb has won 3 MCCs and is a strong consistent player, always top 10 individually. S-Major aka the Event Organizer is also a good player and has improved significantly since the earlier MCCs, now finishing top 15 individually. Solidarity is a, excuse the pun, solid player, though he is one of those players who is relying on his team to bootcamp him so that he scores higher. Wisp is relatively new, and from the 2 events he has played in he seems to be improving. This may perhaps be because his MCC 13 team was more motivating than his MCC 12 team up with Tommy, Tubbo, and Quackity. Overall an incredible team. Dodgeball isn't out of the question for them, however I honestly feel that there are just 2 teams that are slightly stronger. Alright, here are the 2 teams I think will make Dodgeball. Again, really tough decision. pretty much any team can make a dodgeball. At number 2 we have the Green Guardians. CaptainSparklez, Dream, GeorgeNotFound, and Quackity are on this team. I was ready to make a Twitter account and ping the event organizer, asking him to justify his reasoning as to why he put this team together. It's insane. Dream is yet another player who always finishes top 10, and George is a really good player, top 20, maybe even top 15 depending on his team. After all, I have a sole duty in life, and that is to satisfy all the Dream stands watching this video. But in all seriousness, this team is super OP. Sure, Quackity is an extremely weak player from the bottom 10 individually, but CaptainSparklez can make up for this. This is the 3rd time the captain has teamed up with Dream, and I know they both want to get the captain his first win. 3rd time's the charm after all, am I right? This team isn't first in my ranking because of this one simple reason. The Blue Bats. This team consists of CPK, Puns, Sapnap, and Catherine Elizabeth. This team is insane. This team ranked in a consistent solid 4th place in both my datasets, which I mentioned earlier. Sapnap is arguably the strongest MCC player from the Dream team. Puns has only played a couple of times, but he is already really close to top 10 individually. And same for CPK, who has been relentlessly grinding for the treasured top 10 spot for so long. And this could be the team where he finally does that. This team will do amazingly well at the PvP games. Of course, such a strong team wouldn't be allowed without a significantly weaker player, Catherine Elizabeth. Yet despite this, I think the other 3 can easily make up for her lost points and secure 1st place as a team, and perhaps win dodgeball and the entire event. So that is my ranking for the MCC 14 teams. Again, don't get me wrong, this was super hard to do, and I'm sure I've upset a few Dream or Tommy stands along the way. But please understand that it's all about being realistic and drawing up sensible conclusions based on a player's past performance and future potential. Remember to leave your thoughts down below, and feel free to subscribe if you enjoyed this video and want to see more. I've been your host, I hope you found this video informative, and I'll see you all later. Peace out, see ya.